Okay. Hi, this is Najah-Amatullah, and this is the first installment of TBI Teaching, or the Truly Beautiful and Inspired Teacher. Yep, that's super ambitious, and I'm going to talk about why it's there. So stay tuned for that, because that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to come back on here in a little bit and talk about kids' behavior, which is the topic of the week, or the first episode. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment. If at any point you can't hear me, let me know. If at any point the video goes out, let me know. And I will also be editing this and posting it on YouTube. So I don't think I'm going to edit it to try and make it not seem like I'm live. I think I just am going to take out anything super weird that happens. So here we go. My name is Najah-Amatullah Hilton, and I live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I actually live in Midwest City, but I teach in Oklahoma City. I have been teaching for exactly 6 years in 1 week, which means that I started in the middle of a semester, although technically I started as a sub, and I subbed for a whole semester before I got an official teaching position while I was taking my next certification tests. When we talk about certification, I do not have a degree in education. I have a degree in English literature, and I took several education classes when I was an undergrad, as well as when I started a master's program. Thanks for whoever that like was. And I only didn't do the education program because it was going to take me longer. Definitely not because I didn't want to, but sorry, there was a notification. Not because I didn't want to, but because it seemed like it was going to take too long for no reason. And to be honest, I was ready to have a full-time job and work and not have to just take class all day. So I went to school for 5 years, not just 4. And so I was done. I transferred. I was done. And so, yeah, my degree is in English. I'm alternatively certified, but I have now officially done everything except for take some of the college classes that your standard certified person would have done. So I've taken all of the certification tests and passed them all the first time. And I also like to continue education. I will admit that the last 2 years have probably been very, very light on the external training, and that's something that I want to get back into. That's probably also something that gives me a reason to want to do this and talk to people about this, so that I can kind of refresh myself on some best practices and remind myself about getting better at my job, not getting stagnant. It's easy to feel bogged down with a whole lot of things and to never really want to reach past the day-to-day of what you're doing. So that is that part of it. I can't decide if I should say what schools I teach at. There's good and there's bad in those statements. Oh, hello, I have 4 watchers now. Hi, guys. Oh, goodness. There's lots of good reasons, and then there's some bad reasons. And I'm a truth teller, and I am not really a sugarcoater, which makes me think I should probably not say the names of my schools, because what happens if I want to say something that other people wouldn't want other people to know? Also, let's not act like people don't just know stuff. Hey, Paige, let's not act like you can't figure out where I used to teach. Like, it's not, it's not hidden. So yeah, I will not name the schools. Hi, Daisha. I won't name the schools, but I will, kind of give you some information. I've been at 4 now. So the semester that I spent subbing, I was at a school that I still wish I could be at, only because it's like I'm a legacy. I don't know if you say that about schools, but my mom and uncle went there. My uncle's wife's family went there. It is a school that has a lot of history behind it, has a lot of complicated history behind it, has a complicated present, and I liked being there, and I've always wanted to go back there, and I've tried and never made it, and we'll see what happens. 2 of my good friends teach there now. So anyway, I was there for a semester as a sub, and then my first full year of teaching, I was on the south side of Oklahoma City teaching 50 to 75% Mexican students. That first school was a high school, a 9th through 12th high school, like 60, 70% Black, and then 30 everything else, 30 to 40% every other race and ethnic group. Second school, 50 to 75% Mexican, and then the other was everybody else. And it was huge. So the first school was about 300 kids, 9th through 12th. The second school was 1,500 kids, 9th through 12th. And that was an adventure. It was completely different. I went from, a school where everybody teaches one grade, and sometimes more than that. Like, you have one 9th grade English teacher, but oftentimes that 9th grade English teacher also taught a couple of other things. And then to being on a team where I was one of, I think, 6 who taught 10th grade English. And that year was not that fun. Although I did meet a lot of people that I still love. One of the things that I'm going to say about the teaching profession, so far as I know it, in Oklahoma, maybe in Oklahoma City Public Schools, although that's not the only place I've been, there are great people everywhere. Some places have some really bad systems. Some places have some really hurtful systems. Some places don't. And also, there's always pressure from outside of everywhere to do various things. And so I've heard tell that school, that the systems that were bad at that school were not due to that school, but due to the outside influences of a consultant, famed, I don't know if you can say infamed, an infamous consultant who most people who've been around the district know and remember for making their lives difficult. So I got the full brunt of all of that. That was my first year, trial by fire. I will mention this because this, I think, is going to hopefully come back around. I also started a poetry club in February of that year. I wish I'd done it sooner, but I didn't. I only did it actually because I won the teacher talent show. All the kids loved my poems, and so I was like, oh, you guys like poetry, let's do more of it. And I started a club. When I didn't get hired back, obviously I didn't get to continue my club. All right, so that's year 1. I'm not going to talk as long about all the other years because years 2, 3, and 4 were all at the same school, and I loved that school very, very much. Very, 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 very much. I miss it still probably every day. Why don't you go back? It's complicated. And I started out teaching 10th grade English 2 years, and then the last year I was there I taught 11th and 12th grade English. I also taught the Avid elective, 10th grade the first 2 years, and 11th and 12th the last year. I loved it because we were a community. I loved it because I felt like we were all in it together, all the teachers. I made genuine friends there. I learned a lot there. The best teacher, probably maybe the best person that I know. No, I can't say that because then you guys are going to make more connections. Anyway, probably the best teacher I know works there. He is fantastic. He is working on a principal's license, and I can't wait till he gets a job so he can hire me. sports culture was big there. It's big in a lot of places, not big everywhere, but in a lot of places. And there was success, which was fun because I had come from two schools where there wasn't success. So that just, added an element. Also, I'll end up talking probably more about education and sports later, and then I'll make all those friends mad. It'll be great. But one thing that school did right that most schools don't is that the coaches actually cared about their kids' academics and their kids' behavior, and they supported the teachers, and they connected athleticism, or not athleticism, but the athletics program to the academic program, and they didn't just let their kids get away with whatever they wanted to. It was a really great place. So why did you leave, Najah? I'm just going to say this statement, and the only protection is that I am not naming the school. So you guys will figure it out, but oh well. There is a statistic. You can look it up. I did not make it up. That says 75% of the reason why people leave their jobs is not because of the job, but because of something that has to do with their boss or manager. People don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. And we're going to leave it at that. So, I did quit. I was not fired, unlike the first school. So that's the middle 3 years. Loved it. And then, hey, Vanessa. Then last year, I was at a teeny tiny middle school that feeds into the high school that I wish I was working at, but I'm not. And that was my first year teaching 7th grade. Oh, also, when I left the school that I loved, I thought, this is probably a good story to tell. It's going to be short, but I thought I was leaving the education field. I was frustrated with the fact that our salaries are low, and I have to take work home with me all the time. I wanted a job where I could go to work, do my job, go home, and not do my job anymore until the next morning at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever. This hair is going to bother me. And so I thought I was leaving the profession. I did not think that I was going to another school. I told people I wasn't going to another school. I told the boss that I quit, that I wasn't going to another school. And so, yeah, then I made the mistake, or maybe the really appropriate action, of going to an education conference that I'd been going to every summer. Shout out to the Emancipation and Education Conference. I wish I remembered the actual title. Shout out to Amanda Kingston and to Odyssey Leadership Academy for putting that on. I went there and was re-inspired again. I was like, oh, dang it, I guess I'm going to have to keep teaching. And so I had a couple of failed interviews. And then 3 days before the first day of school, I went and interviewed at the school that I was at. And my straight shooter of a boss, who I super love and miss, and have maybe the option to go back and work for again, was like, you seem great. I wish I could say that I was like hiring you above all the other candidates, but like obviously you're my only candidate, so like come aboard. He's funny. I love him. That was a good year. I did take 5 weeks off to have a baby, so perhaps that 5 weeks would have had some kind of impact on my recollection of that as a good year, but I don't think so. What made it good? I loved my boss. I've never loved a boss that much, except for Mike Brown. Shout out to Mike Brown for being a legend. If you've gone to Oklahoma City Public Schools and you've worked around here, like, you know that he's awesome, so shout out to him. Gosh, he's great. I have never loved a boss that much, except for Mike Brown. And that's saying a lot, considering Mike Brown was a 30-year vet at the time that I worked for him, and this guy was a first year. So take your trophies, take your trophies. In addition to having a boss that I loved, I had a team that I loved. My So I was the English teacher, my science teacher, my math teacher. We were all actually friends and liked each other. The other guy, we liked him too until he didn't do enough work, and then we didn't like him anymore. But then we still pretended to like him, except for me, because I don't lie to people. So we also really liked our assistant principals. Like, it was a really good setup. Shout out to the district for breaking up our really awesome setup. And so they scattered our principal and we all scattered. They both, my other two teammates, now work at the school that I wish I was working at, but they didn't have an English position open, so I went somewhere else. I now teach 7th grade at another school on the other side of town. And the difference between last year and this year is that last year I was at a middle school, so it was 6th through 8th grade. And this year I am at a mid-high, so it is 7th through 12th grade. And so last year my kids were in elementary school. And you can tell. That is a perfect segue into episode number 1 about behavior. So I don't know what other things people would want to know. Leave comments, leave questions, and I will answer them in the comments or in following videos. I've always only taught English, although this year, English in the Avid elective. Last year in 7th grade, I had the Avid elective. This year, I do not have the Avid elective because our school only does it at high school, not at middle school. I am teaching a section of drama this year. I have taught English enhancement remediation. I am doing that this year. One section. I've built curriculum. I was a department chair for 2 years. This is my 2nd year as a team leader. I feel like that's most of the things people would want to know. So if you need to know something else, let me know and I'll tell you, because I'm pretty much an open book. And yeah, I guess I should add, informing my perspective is always going to be Blackness, because as Malcolm said, I'm Black first. My sympathies are Black. And so that's the start of it. I am from a neighborhood called Murderwood. If you don't live in Oklahoma, you don't know where that is, and that's fine, but you can probably imply some things based on the name of it. I lived there, but most people, including my friend who's on the podcast, who just sent up a laughing emoji, she and the guy I'm with, who's from not that far from there, and most people would tell you that I lived there, but I was not from there. My grandparents are military. They're from 5th Ward, Houston, but they are military, and so they were informed by the world. They lived in Japan, they lived in Hawaii, they lived in Germany, and they continued to be a part of Tinker Air Force Base community and chapel long after they retired. And my mom was a single mom. Thanks for that, love. My mom was a single mom, and so my grandparents did a lot of work with me, picked me up a lot, kept me a lot, hung out with me a lot, took me a lot of places, and we all went to church where they go. McGregor Heights, I don't know where that is. Is that the name? Is that the real name of the neighborhood, McGregor Heights? I never knew that. Love how I never knew that. And so I was around multicultural people. That's, the actual name. Okay. I was around multicultural people for my whole life. My grandma's close friends were from Indonesia and China and the Philippines. And so I heard accent after accent. My grandmother was big on reading and on language, which is probably how I became an English teacher. I can tell you more about that later on down the road. It's a good story. And yeah, I always read, I always went to church, and I was raised by old people and always around multicultural people. My guy says I was raised by white people, which has a lot of overtones, but basically the story is that I'm informed by my surroundings. I'm more informed by, oh, hey, Mom. Sorry, I'm about to log off of this one and get on to another one, so you have to watch the replay. I'm more informed by my upbringing. And that is going to play right into, that's my second really great segue into segment 2, or episode number 1 officially, of the Truly Beautiful and Inspired Teacher. I guess I should say why I named it that. Dang it, I keep trying to end this video. So, a long time ago, it's in my Facebook memories actually, I'll find whatever the year was, and I came up with the 3 words, truth, beauty, inspiration, to try and congeal all the things that I do, right? Because I'm an English teacher, I'm a poet, I write, I perform. I have been doing that for over 10 years now. Oh my gosh, when did I get old? And it was a lot. And I love makeup. I've sold makeup for a while. I love fashion. I love taking selfies. And I was like, okay, it's a lot. How do I, branding, what am I going to do? And I was trying to figure out how to kind of congeal it all. So truth, because I've said several times already, lies are not my thing. And let me make a statement. I don't lie is not to say I've never lied, because nobody's never lied. But I don't make a habit of lying. I go out of my way to tell the truth more often than not, because I don't believe that lies, omissions, fables, fairy tales, fallacies, euphemisms, I don't believe any of those things serve us. I believe that the truth is what serves us, and the truth will set us free. And so yeah, the truth, beauty, obviously, and then inspiration. That's what the poetry is. That's what the beauty is. That's what the arts are for, right? So, truth, beauty, inspiration. And I went with that for a while. I used to hashtag everything truth. I bet if you looked up the hashtag now, you would still find a bunch of old posts from me, mostly having to do with makeup, but I also always had something like inspiring to say about it. And so I've just kind of come back around and realized that one of the problems is that our inspiration's dying out, right? We don't make enough money and we're all mad about it. We are overworked and we're all mad about it. I'm now a single mom, so I'm really overworked and we're all mad about it. And we've lost the inspiration, right? Times are changing. Kids only care about Fortnite, and so we've lost the inspiration. I've always believed that we should search for truth and beauty in everything. There's a tattoo on my back to that point. And then we need to be searching for the inspiration. So I just took something that I already had and turned it into the kind of teacher that I want to be. So it'll be a journey. Let's go.